I was really not expecting this amount of support on the last one of these, so I will keep my word and rank every villain in Dragon's Rising Season 3, Part 1. What? Episodes 11 to 18 have been leaked? Don't know anything about that. As much as I'd love to talk about those episodes, I like having my kneecaps intact. We still have a whopping 18 villains to rank this time. Some returning and some new. So I'm just gonna get on with it. Zarked. Tell you what, with how much I was gassing up the Forbidden 5 in the last video, I was not expecting this useless green dustbin to be complete doo-doo. Was the only member of the Forbidden 5 to not get a prismatic blade. Gets absolutely outplayed by Lloyd. He seems like the type of guy who would look up when told it says gullible on the ceiling. Then he gets thrown around like a ragdoll by Pixel and leaves.
Everything we desire belongs to us by right of conquest.
Big talk from a guy who gets pinned to the floor by a 4-foot dog woman. How the hell did this man get allowed in the Forbidden 5? Not even the wildness is safe from nepotism. Is he Kerr's second cousin?
Yeah, sorry, Rox. Me mum says I need to include Zarked in the team, or she'll take away all my cursed Egyptian slabs.
Apparently his elemental power is misfortune. Kind of ironic because this is the most misfortunate one of the lot. The only contribution he makes to the Forbidden 5 is blowing up a vehicle. All-powerful dimensional conqueror on the same power level as a member of the IRA. Then he mills about for the rest of the season, enters Thunderfang's little goon cave and gets his soul removed. What a dunce.
Also, there's this scene where Lloyd's speaking with Pixel and he just smacks him out the way.
Dorama's contraption. The only reason why this thing isn't at the very bottom is because that purple thing it carries around with it sometimes is nowhere to be found. Why did this thing just randomly have a prism blade shoved in its brain? Who did that? Pretty convenient that the specific thing they are looking for turns up before they even know they have to look for it. The contraption does look a bit feral in this one. If they reveal that after it got the blade shoved in its head, it went rogue and killed Dorama, I will take this thing off of the villain list and grant it the status of hero. These electric rock things. These rocks are just kind of assholes, to be honest. Horrendous legal system. Still not as bad as the legal system in Ninjago City, but horrendous nonetheless. Locks Kai and Nia in a cage just for looking at them. I like how they just have Vengestone. No explanation, they just have it. Did Vangelis sell it to them? This scene of Wildfire showing up dressed as one of them would have been infinitely funnier if they just immediately cut to her in the prison. It's nice how they actually let Nia out after she explains the misunderstanding, but then just fucks over the other two. Then Nia beats the shit out of them and they leave. Teaching children the lesson that the legal system is heavily flawed, and sometimes the only way out is by throwing fireballs at the jury. Human trafficking skeletons. The one thing I was not expecting from this season was a flashback to Sora being stalked and abducted by 2 wither skeletons, put in a cage and threatened to work as a slave in the mines. Child labor really was not on my Ninjago Season 3 bingo card. How did these wither skeletons even survive the destruction of the evil green skull? They all perish the second that thing is destroyed. Has my goat returned at last? Well, so this cat was in on it. Don't fall for its trickery, Sora. Bet those skeletons give it a slice of tuna for every child they send down the mines. Tyre or Tear. Poor Tear. He was such a nice chap. Gave Lloyd some lovely broth after he fell off a cliff. But then the forbidden flops show up, punch him in the face, shatter this gem, and they're all just evil. Were these 2 old ladies turned evil as well? Did the ninja severely beat the shit out of pensioners? Also, what happened to that guy whose bones got turned into jelly? They never undid that. Are they still like that? Nia, you just crippled an innocent person. Why did you do that? Anyway, after turning evil, Tyr doesn't really have any semblance of a personality. He just makes feral noises, so he's only ranked up this high solely because he was such a upstanding citizen before Noct stomps on this giant red gem. Are they messing with me? Kerr. Whilst Kerr isn't as hopeless as this chained up hanging planter, she doesn't really do much, just shows up to Roby's door, afflicts him with the Pharaoh's curse, grabs the blade and leaves. Then she's just in the background for the rest of the series doing various and interesting things such as sitting on a rock, grabbing a blade, and holding Nia but not applying the Tomb's Bane upon her. Kerr is definitely the least developed of the Forbidden Five, but isn't a complete oaf, so gets put up here. Zeatrix. She's in one scene, orders Jay to capture that nefarious cat, and is never seen again for the rest of the season. What is she even planning to do with him when she gets him? Is she just gonna have him beheaded in Imperium? Power Lid. This big blue thing was certainly a nice little one-time antagonist, though given this series' track record, I'm sure he'll come back again and again and again, and I'll get sick of him. He starts venting to the ninja about how he can't feel love and then throws rocks at them. Sounds like an interaction you'd have at like a Southwest England bus station.
Wait! Don't move! Cyclopses don't perceive depth with just one eye. They can't separate us from our surroundings as long as we don't move.
He also is referred to as the ultimate object of admiration 3 times. Just like the name of the episode. Bold words from a guy who looks like he's about to report back to the Coalition of Planets. Fugidove.
Nothing better than...
I like how it's been over 5 years since the events have crystallized, and this man is still wearing the prison outfit. I like how when he storms into the arcade, a concerned parent covers their child's eyes. He gets ghosted by the ninja and then solemnly exits, probably gone back to feeding pigeons. Rogue, or Evil J, as the spoiler-prone LEGO marketing team likes to call him, was a nice direction for this washed-up, girlfriend-dependent shell of a funny lightning man. He is tasked by Zeatrix to hunt down Lord Raz, then pursues him and Aaron for the rest of the season. Now, whilst hunting down the main villain of this series doesn't exactly sound very villainous, he would have killed Aaron here if Sora hadn't activated all the spring locks in his suit. Kind of fitting that he was about to murder a child. His voice modulator also sounds like he's a Gmod roleplay admin about to give you a weak ban for fail RP. Also for saying he hated Nia last season. Seemed pretty alright with her now, but I do wonder what will happen in the next part. I already know, I watched them. I'm just not talking about them because I value the lives of myself, my friends and loved ones, and don't want John Lego himself to disappear them. Also, what is that on your head? Points deducted. Abysmal haircut. Rocks. The phrase dumb as a bag of rocks makes a lot more sense if you consider how much of a moron this Animal Crossing secretary looking thing was during this season.
I wish the ninja were here.
Your wish is yours to keep.
Ignoring the fact that she falls for the Ninjago classic of freeing a big lizard and instantly fucking dying trick, she had one of them bloody wish-granting djinn in a magic triangle and still managed to fumble it up. Maybe if you didn't faff about with this ego-stroking admit I'm better than you do-gooders malarkey and opened with the wish for them to jump off a cliff, you would still have a reality-warping djinn in your triangle. So damn, she really just wished for Nia, Ryu and Sora to fucking kill themselves. This season has basically just taught me that the Forbidden Five are a bunch of posers. The wildness must have been filled with a bunch of wusses if they got done in by these clowns. Coughing baby versus hydrogen toddler. 2 whole seasons of build-up just to get grabbed by the scruff of her neck and held back like they used to do to Scrappy Doo. We do appreciate the Zark humbling though. Might be one of the most insecure villains in the entire show. Literally wears a mask to try and look tough because without it she just looks like a mildly irritated Kevapoo.
Alright, Aaron. Now hit Borg Tower.
Aaron's whole arc this season was being gaslighted by Lord Raz into getting into various shenanigans, such as leaving a burning, destroyed village and everyone in it to die, witnessing Lord Raz deface the visage of God and stab a ghost in the chest, and lead these dragons into smacking their heads into tree branches. Aaron and Lord Raz's relationship is probably one of the best things about this season. He just throws things at him like an abusive uncle. Oi you, stop crying and get me another beer. Still, I feel like he could have been a bit more dubious, a bit more villainous, if you know what I'm saying. The most evil thing he does is basically just watch Raz do things, but they aren't going to make the main character of the show do evil things, because this is a show that sells 90 quid Lego mechs every 6 months, so the fact that there's even the slightest nuance is a godsend if you ask me. Sora going with him and Raz at the end could lead to some more shenanigans, especially considering the reveal that his parents aren't actually dead. I'm sure I already know what happens, I'm just not talking about it again because the kneecaps and all that. Drix. Now this is what I expected from the Forbidden Five. He shows up, solos like half of the ninja team, grabs not one but 2 of the magical MacGuffin blades and Lord Raz, and immediately just bolts it. This guy needs a promotion. No wonder why Noct was being so dismissive of him. He's gunning for his position, even got him a gift and everything. No need for such hostility. His elemental power is really cool as well, being a massive swarm of bugs. Drix is like the Vermilion Warriors if they locked in, going in and out of bug mode to dodge attacks and harass people with bees. When they had Mr. Frohickey eating these chocolate flies, I genuinely thought they were setting him up to pick off Drix bug by bug. That would have been so funny, why didn't they do that? So has Drix always been a pile of flies, or did his elemental power do this to him? Maybe Thunderfang being this sort of false prophet source dragon giving out these Tesco home brand elemental powers messes up the powers in some way. Power of Swarm becomes the Swarm. Power of Misfortune becomes an unlucky, incompetent oaf. Power of Decay becomes a shuffling, mummified corpse. Power of Fear becomes an insecure little gremlin. And Power of Brute Force, I don't know, maybe Noct has some sort of blunt force trauma. Take off that hat and you'll find a cartoonish bump. He also makes funny noises sometimes. Still, much like the rest of the Forbidden Five, he definitely needed more screen time. Glad we got like half of an episode dedicated to the ninja dicking around with an arcade machine instead. Repton. Yeah, Repton. He's back. And they got him in the same scene as Noct. Always happy to see Repton again. I like his interactions with this one freebooter.
Repton loves ruining tender moments.
That's an odd thing to be in love with.
Also, this little ad he does is really funny as well. Out of all of the random one-off villains that return all the time, Repton is the greatest of them all. He's gone from hunting dragons to hunting bank. I really don't like what he's done with his hair though. Gotta work on that a bit, I think. Not only does Repton bring us back the Goat Pixel, but then Noct shows up and we have the quadruple Goat special. And is that another Zane fake out death, for God's sake? This scene would have been much funnier if Pixel was like, Zane, get the fuck up, stop this fucking nonsense. I'm sick of it. I've been stuck in a tube for the past 5 years and you're already doing this. But I guess they needed a plot reason for him to become a marketable Lego set. I also like the scene where Pixel just has a go at him and he obliges to help Zane out of fear. Moro. Again, Lego, stop spoiling this for me. Can't even walk around a Tesco anymore without a magazine with his face plastered on it showing up. Anyway, Moro is one of the least villainous things about this season, but he used to be a villain, and I want to talk about him, so I'm gonna talk about him anyway. Firstly, how did Aaron not know who this guy was? He was like a massive super fan of the ninja, yet didn't know about the time they fought the living embodiment of the F afterlife. He had a whole museum exhibit about him and everything. Still, this was probably the best direction to take his character, being this guide for the recently deceased to try and atone for his sins. Since the departed and cursed realms being all jumbled up like this is kind of his fault in the first place. You can tell he's not evil anymore because he removed the highlights in his hair. His story is a nice parallel to Aaron's though, both being people let down by that bozo Master Wu, Moro not being allowed to be the Green Ninja, and Aaron having his world irreparably altered and his family seemingly killed. Yeah, Moro, you might have just been a little bitch. Anyway, at the end of the series, Moro appears again, just wanted to help Thunderfang pass through to the afterlife and avoid the evil soul-sucking dogs, but no, he gets sucked up like a wet noodle. Also, Lloyd was right there! Less than like 100 meters away from him, and they never interacted. Thunderfang. A giant unstoppable lizard that took an archangel sent down from the heavens to destroy gets done in by a bottle of Moro's piss, although that does seem to have just made him stronger. Thunderfang is an interesting take on the big scary monster that the evil group needs the special MacGuffins to free. For once he can actually communicate, even if he does sound like a bi-curious CEX employee. So I think it would have been more interesting if he actually kept his word and didn't kill off the Forbidden Five instantly. Though I guess he needed their succulent, juicy souls to get his chaos powers back. I like how comically large he is, like this might be the largest creature the ninja have fought yet. The Preeminent would be a stress ball to him. Could wear the Great Devourer as a necktie and Wojira as a belt. He's also kind of funny.
My minions.
I like how he starts screaming at the heavens, calling the Source Dragons cosmic frauds. Also, poor Lloyd. Imagine how it must feel to have a 300-foot god-hating dragon stare directly at you, call you a conduit, and slurp up your soul. Do you think Lloyd's soul tastes like apple or lime? Thunderfang's backstory is also kind of metal. He went around devouring the souls of fallen Oni and attacked the city after the cosmic frauds wouldn't let him join their shitty little PNG council. You know what, Thunderfang? You go force your way in the Source Dragon's Discord call. You've earned it. Also, I own Thunderfang. This cost me 65 British pounds. I like how LEGO did this thing where they encouraged people to take pictures of Thunderfang getting into various shenanigans. Lord Raz. Lord Raz was on full gaslight, gatekeep, and girl boss mode this season, going around gaslighting children into committing acts of malice in the name of his reality warping master, associated with the color orange that can teleport things. Oh my god, it's him, isn't it? In all seriousness, Raz was probably at his best this season. A villain with a motivation that doesn't bottle down to, I'm evil and I will do evil things. He wants to undo the death of his tribe by using the Source Dragons to rewrite history, because if you control time, you control every— hang on a minute. I like the scene where he storms into the Dragon Core tree thing, breaks down the statue and shanks this apparition in the chest with his big hammer. Raz also gets utterly humiliated by Jay in the Forbidden Five. Aaron, I require assistance. Lots of guys getting victories over Lord Raz. Over Lord. Hang on a second. It is sad to see such a joyous and whimsical young lad be led astray by this feline fellow. He literally gaslights him into thinking his parents are dead. But alas, Aaron was too blind to see the manipulation— wait a minute. Blind? Oh my god.
This gem will be most helpful in your quest.
Why are there more parallels? Yeah, Noctis still on top, baby. I really liked him in this season. I like how the first word he utters is that really sold his placement as the #1 villain of Dragon's Rising Season 3 Part 1. Don't know if he'll rank this high in Part 2 considering his soul got removed, but we can always hope. Now, look here how he actually puts up a fight against Pixel and wins. Wouldn't catch a certain other member doing that. Not to think you should redirect your hatred away from my man Drix into a certain 2-tier wicker cat house basket wearing member of the team. Maybe he's prejudiced towards bugs after the Bumblebee incident. I like the scene where he just strolls into the Dragonian village and just flicks Tyr away. Was having none of that. I also like how he gets genuinely excited when Drix gives him Lord Raz as a present so he can beat the shit out of him. Then Aaron just flies a fucking plane into him. Why does he always get injured in the most comical ways? However, much like the rest of the Forbidden Five, Noct is not saved from Fraud Watch. Come on, man. Master of Force and you can't even break a windshield. Maybe that's why they keep Zarkt around, since he seems like he's the only one who can deal with a vehicle. Noct is still the best villain of this season, solely because I think he's really funny, and entertainment is what you come to a piece of media for, so that's really all you need. And thus ends the second entry of the Ninjago Villain Ranking Series. See you in September, where I can legally rank all of the villains from the second part of Dragon's Rising. Now that all of the villains have been ranked. Might do a hero ranking tier list in the future, but for now, I bid you goodbye.